2022.
Gender biases have been witnessed world over among both men and women, with women carrying the most burden. In Uganda, and specifically the Rwenzori region, a number of gender biases have been witnessed, most of which are attributed to cultural, social, economic and political landscape in the region. Rwenzori region is one of the most culturally diverse regions in Uganda, and cultural dimensions have perpetuated these gender biases. This calls for urgent interventions. Upon this background, Action on Women Foundation, a Uganda women organization, in partnership with Rwenzori Forum for Peace and Justice with support from UN Women Uganda, is implementing a 3-year program to address these gender issues, including the gender biases to amplify the participation of women in peace-building process in the Rwenzori region.
Gender biases refers to the tendency of preferring one gender over the other. And this usually affects both men and women. So it's socially constructed norms, behaviors, and usually we see that in our communities, women end up getting more affected as a result of gender biases. So this gender biases usually comes in that we see it mostly like in the fields of education, property inheritance, property ownership, where we find that society has made its own conclusions, its own stereotypes on who should own, on who shouldn't own, say, property. And we've seen that in this, women have been more affected in this.
Very many gender biases that are still in existence. If I give you an example, socially, people still have preference to the male than the female. Even at household level, you find a woman who has given birth to girls very stressed, trying to have a boy. They do so many things. They even reach a level of going to witch doctors so that they get a boy. And even this woman cannot be really accepted in her family unless she gives birth to a boy. Men still have a lot of bias about women. Women themselves have biases against themselves. They feel certain positions are meant for men. For example, you can rarely find a village with a chairperson LC1 who is female. When you look at these posts of constituents, directly elected MPs, my goodness, when a woman comes out to participate for such positions, I am telling you, everyone judges them. They say, no, why can't you go for a woman member of parliament? We have our position that was given to us, the rest are for men. I have a feeling that contributes to the fact that even up to today in parliament, there are more men than women, despite the fact that there is an affirmative action.
And bias is looking like appreciating one side of gender. In most cases, looking at men as superior to women. It is still there. Like in places like Hiaka, places like here in Kavolere, like in Kichwamba, Nyabuswa.
Women are battered, abused in families, at places of work, simply because they do not know their rights. So as stakeholders, we come on board.
Actually, the big parts a lot, like most people are most affected by culture, and the most affected ones are actually the women and girls. When I mention culture, what do I mean? Like most of our girls are denied education. Okay, they go to school, they may like stop at P7, but you see like a boy child given fees to push him up to the university, and because you are a girl, you remain seated at home simply because they want you maybe to get married early. And again, there is limited access to property and land compared to boys. For us girls, like, we are not considered much. When they are giving out properties, they most consider boys and men, but for us girls we are left out. And now some of the examples, like when we are being brought up, like you see a baby girl, sometimes he's given the dolls to play with, but for boys they'll be given trucks. Like when you're shopping for the boy child, you like you like showing him to like such colors like green or blue, but for a girl child, like you go out for shopping, you shop for her like red or pink. And that one, when you're bringing up a child, there is that bias already. You're putting that bias already in that child.
Some women are married, and then somebody feels like, where do I go back? My parents have died. This is where I have been. So therefore, I have nowhere to go. So a number of them are abused. A number of them are harassed. A number of them are hurt in one way or the other, emotionally or psychologically tortured, and they have to stay because they are women, simply because they are just women. So somebody feels it is okay to hurt a woman psychologically.
In job opportunities, you find that some jobs, they are meant for men. For example, if they are advertising for maybe a district engineer, it will be very rare to give a chance to a female to take that.
The examples that we have encountered in the region includes like boys are directed to like different colors. They say, if you find a boy putting on a pink, they say, why are you putting on women colors? So we find it as a bias. If a color is green and I have a shirt that is green, one should be able to put on that color, not because the color is meant for women. We've also had a bias in regards to education, in instances where like a parent have failed to pay school fees for both children, a girl and a boy. They will first say, let the girl sit, and then the boy be given an opportunity to go to school, and then they leave the girl. And the reason they give is like, after all, this girl is going to be married at one point, and this boy is the one that is going to take care of the home. So the other one is left behind just because of that bias that the boy will be the one to support the
political part of it. Even if you go to council, the ratio, you find that women are very few, men are many. Go to parliament, you find that in a district there are some constituencies, and every constituency has a man, a male MP, but a woman must cover the whole district. And now you see, like, women don't share clan meetings to resolve conflicts, and they would be doing that because they belong to the clan. But when it is time for clan meetings, girls, women, you are there not talking, whatever.
Gender stereotypes, you find that there are those things that are not true about gender. Like, for instance, someone will say women are of a weaker sex, which is not true. Under stereotypes, you find that some people have the belief that there are certain things a man should do or what he shouldn't do. And also to women, they will say there are certain things women should do and some things that they should not do, which is not true, because what a man can do, a woman can do, and what a woman can do, a man can also do. So those stereotypes act as a form of gender biases.
Somewhere, somehow, in the first early days of the church, women were also not allowed to participate in ministry. And we thank God that today, as women, we are given the opportunity, and some of us have taken the opportunity to do ministry like how men do, and we do any other thing that a priest can do. And so we have been given or tasked to talk about our roles as stakeholders in fighting biases about women or about gender. And therefore, we do a number of things as stakeholders, as women fighting for women's rights, to ensure that these women, they also keep along the same road. We encourage them to work.
You find that women are making wrong decisions because of the violence. You find like a woman decides to go back to their home and instead sit at home, and also make decisions of going into other activities that really may affect them. For example, we have girls who have gone to Arabic countries to go and work, and the repercussion of that is death. Just because of the mistreatment they've been having, they decide they get an option of going out to work. That is an Arabic.
How does that also affect in peace building processes? Because we already have biased mind, and when there is domestic violence, when there are conflicts, a woman will still feel like she cannot talk freely, just because there are certain things, the do's and don'ts.
Girls have gone into early marriages, they're getting early pregnancies just because of mistreatment, and they're not getting this care and love from their homes, and therefore they end up losing even in education. So gender-based violence is affecting so much.
We keep on intimidating him. They keep intimidating, isolating a woman, isolating the girl. You see, no. And in some decisions, they want to leave the women somewhere. You find people have already done the decisions. When you ask how did this come out? It is already finished. Because you are a woman, you are not to decide, or you are not to be part of decision.
Because you don't know what kind of idea she was going to bring and what it would do in as far as solving these conflicts are concerned. It comes to education. Because you've said these are the courses for women and these are the courses for men. Even when a girl child has the capacity to go for that course that you refer to as a course for men, even when she can do that. But because all her lifetime, in the process of growing up, you've been saying it is a course for men. Even in class, she's not going to perform, because she'll be like, that is not for us, that is for men. And you find her concentrating on certain subjects, but even when she was going to be able to concentrate on other subjects that would enable her do that course that is perceived for men.
There's nothing that is so bad on this earth like living in a terrifying environment. Like, time comes you don't want to go home because there is so and so, because there is a man, because there is a woman. Oh my God, it shouldn't close, the day shouldn't end because you don't want to go home. So that environment tends to make somebody tensed. A number of them are getting diseases, like 70% people are dying of non-communicable diseases. Pressure, clots. People don't want to share. Others maybe fear sharing because maybe their culture tells them. We have a saying in our language, so somebody keeps quiet on every pain, on every pressure, on every abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, spiritual abuse, and then somebody says, hey, my pastor said, my pastor. No way. We were given authority to pray to God and then get that spiritual enlightenment as well. Like people who are being beaten or poured soda on in the name of prayer, that is exploitation and misuse of religion.
We've tried to have some interventions. We've had dialogue meetings to ensure that we dialogue on the different biases that we've encountered in the communities, and we've been able to reach a consensus where the different parties have agreed that no, this was not good, let's leave it and go with the other option. We've also encouraged women to participate in leadership through building their confidence, giving them a chance to also participate so that they can be exemplary to other women, to also understand that there are other women can also be leaders.
FPJ, when we realized that some of these biases stem from our cultures, we decided to engage the cultural institutions, specifically the Ministry of Gender, because the 5 cultural institutions we have in the Rwenzori, each has a gender ministry. So, you would reach some people, they tell you that according to our culture, it is the girls who are supposed to kneel, meaning that the boys are not supposed to kneel. And kneeling is a sign of respect. In other words, we are trying to train a girl to be respectful, and we are trying to train a boy to be disrespectful. So having encountered such challenges, we had to run to the cultural institutions and engage them. Good enough, they gave us a very warm welcome, and we organized some mentorship sessions with the cultural institutions whereby we engaged both boys and girls, and they would tell them about these gender biases, and the cultural institutions themselves came out to pronounce some of them. They said no, there is no reason as to why a boy child should not kneel. After all, kneeling is a sign of respect. We had Hachioto Mkairizi in Toro Kingdom, where the youth, both male and female, were engaged in these mentorship sessions. Then in Bundibujo and Obsinga of Dingia Wawamba, we had what they called the Kitumiko. We had a Komi in Busongora, and we had very, very good dialogues about our culture and gender biases. And at the end of it all, the cultural institutions made commitments to come out and erase some of these gender biases that affect the boy and the girl, that affect men and women in this region.
As we are talking about these biases, let us start with our children. Let us start from our families. Because we have people, I am here, I'm talking about it, but at home I can't talk about it. And yet I have young boys and young girls who are growing up. So those stereotypes are seriously affecting us in the Rwenzori region, but we've not lost hope. We shall continue talking about these things, and hopefully by God's grace, we shall see the change. Because as I talk now, whatever is happening around women, whatever is happening around men, is not like those years of the 1980s, 1970s, where like they say, hey, a woman is not supposed to put on a trouser. But these days we see women putting on trousers. We've seen ministers who are women. We've seen presidents who are women. So meaning there is a change. So slowly by slowly, we shall be there.
So we therefore request that our dear men should change in their behaviors, and we request them to handle women with care. We do not entertain men that really violate our women, that violate young girls.
And whereby we are saying, let there not be these things. A woman can do this, a man can do this, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. Let us all come together. If it is solving a conflict, it's between man and man. Let a woman come and advise. If it is between woman and woman, let a man come and advise. Because
more sensitization and creation of awareness should be done to parents and to communities to make sure that there is no more gender based.
So for us as church, how do we help women? We encourage them to do handcraft. Somebody can weave a mat, somebody can weave a basket, somebody can do sweaters, and eventually somebody earns. So you don't have to wait for the Kameza money.
We therefore encourage our dear parents to make sure they educate a girl child, they educate every girl. Then we also encourage our fathers to make sure they love their wives, they give them respect too.
to solve all this, in my view, we should change what we talk to our children, what we tell them to do.
Like when you are grooming children, let them, don't separate them. Let them all be on the same level.
Political leaders, our leaders in our communities, our leaders at village levels, LOC ones, communities do believe so much in the leadership
of their area. When a leader speaks something, they easily believe it. Then secondly, we also want any person of human rights, if someone comes out and speak about it in public, someone trained about it, talk about it more, I think this will also reduce more. Change the attitude or perspectives about women, especially our male counterparts. You need to look at these women as fellow human beings. You don't have to look at them as the sex objects. That this one is here to just have sex, produce, and these women, they also need to go out. These women, they need that attention. Some of them have money, but what they are lacking is love, the affection which parents cannot give them.
When it comes to fighting gender bias, I think all stakeholders are solely responsible in this. But more especially we women, we should come on board. We should fight. Let's show the rest that we can fight for ourselves, because we are the most affected. Otherwise, our political leaders, our civil servants, all the stakeholders should come on board and break the bias.
Saying that women these days, they no longer respect men. But now this woman goes to work like the way how the man does. This woman also gets tired like the man does. And sometimes some men stay home. So it is no harm for a man to do some little bit of housework. It is not a sin. It is not written anywhere that they shouldn't do. But doing it has no problem. Is it any problem to bathe your own child? Is it any problem to prepare a cup of coffee in the house?
We need to bring men, boys on board and work as partners. So we need to promote more of male engagement. We need role model men. We need a critical mass of men who will join this struggle so that we actually get rid of what? We get rid of this vice. It is something that's constructed. It's not normal. I believe we can get away with it. But of course, we have to combine our efforts, of course, to do this.
Our duty as different stakeholders to encourage women to join different organizations, join politics and compete like men, and therefore live at the same page. I remember our friend, our stakeholder, Miriam Atembe, said that women, those people who say that for us some of the women are difficult, these women are not difficult. They just need to be understood, to be taken care of, and eventually explore and whatever thing is good in them. They are not organizations, they are not factories, they are not companies, and they need management. They just need that collaboration between a man and a woman and live in peace and harmony.
We also have the Department of Community Policing that is responsible for bridging the gap between the members of the public and police. So they are our mouthpiece as the Uganda Police Force. They give out information on all issues relating to the Uganda Police Force, but also raise awareness in the community on how best we can work together to make sure that we prevent gender-based violence, violence against women, and violence against children.
The people in the Rwenzori region are proud to say that we are taking seriously this problem, and we are informing everybody to be an ambassador, to sensitize the different people in all the 9 districts and the city.
I encourage all of us, including myself, to seek help either from police or from any place where you can get it, so that you are able to live both spiritual and healthy lives. God bless you so much in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
My appreciation goes to our donors because we rely to a greater extent on the donors. UN Women has done a very great job in as far as empowering women in this region is concerned, because we get our funding from them and other partners. So we really look forward to continuing engaging our donors in order to eradicate all these biases.
I want to thank all the stakeholders, UN Women, Rwenzori Forum for Peace and Justice and Action on Women Foundation. I thank them for their support, because without them, this documentary wouldn't have been successful. I recommend that be shared with all stakeholders so that it helps in the development of the communities and the nation.